It's Summit Dodge Tommy's Hockey on 95.7 The Wolf. It is intermission time here, and bringing in a guest to the program this evening is Peter Murphy, the head coach of the St. Thomas Women's Hockey Program. And first and foremost, we really appreciate, Peter, you giving us this opportunity to chat with you tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the coverage, of course.
Oh, definitely. Now, Peter, of course, first we're going to get this out of the way because this is probably the biggest story of the last week or so. A flu bug certainly ravaged your team for a little while, hasn't it?
It certainly has. We had I think up to about 10 or 12 players out with it at once, and a lot of them were playing through it, of course, as any of them would, but at the same time, you're not at 100%. So we're glad that maybe it gets through now, and we're just getting into the regular season. Hopefully, we'll be all set for this weekend.
All right, the regular season gets underway. The 0-2 start certainly doesn't help. But again, not to blame everything on the flu bug, but I mean that certainly didn't help you last weekend.
No, it didn't help us at all. But at the same time, I'm not going to use that as an excuse, nor would any of the girls. We definitely went down to X and had a rough start against them. Basically just a bad 2 minutes, and then after that it was a 2-1 game. So, one of those things, and you try to learn what you can from those games and then get out and get right back at it. So on Saturday we were back in at Dow at 7 o'clock and played a much better game against them. Quite a physical game, actually. It was probably one of the most physical ones that we've had in my time coaching the team. It was a good game. The 2-1 loss, but we had a goal called back in the third. I guess nobody heard about because it was down in Halifax, but it kind of threw us a little bit. But at the same time, I'll give full credit for Dow for pulling out with the win.
When I take a look at the exhibition season that you had, because you came down to Moncton and had a loss the first night, but you played a very strong exhibition tournament here at the University of Moncton. How did that make you feel as looking towards the team that you had in place? Well,
that's, I guess, the thing that we looked at the most was obviously the exhibition was strong. We lost one to Moncton, but no one apologizes for losing to Moncton. They're a very good squad and return champions from last year. So at the same time, we came back the next day at home and beat them 2-1. So we felt very good about that series. And then, as you say, we went down for a tournament and lost one to PEI, which a lot of people would say, well, that's got to be disappointing. But PEI is a much improved team. I can't take anything away from them, and they've had some good starts. They actually beat University of Moncton 5-3 in preseason as well. So they're no one that you can take lightly for sure. And then the next day we played Dow and beat them 3-2 in overtime, and then beat X on Sunday. So definitely a good preseason, and so. The girls know that they can play well and they can play with anybody in the league, and obviously know that they can play better than they did last weekend, and that's what we're looking for heading into this weekend.
When we take a look at first and foremost, we should have probably also looked back. When you start a new season, there's some key additions, some key losses. Let's first talk about maybe a little bit of some of the players you didn't have coming into this year that have graduated and left the program.
Yeah, well, I guess the two people that most people talk about would be Ashley Duguay, our captain from last year, and Catherine Boudreau. Those would be the two that most people notice simply because they are wearing letters, and their leadership is definitely something that is difficult to replace. And we've had our captain's name now, but at the same time, those two are just quality individuals, great representatives of both the university and the program itself. And both are involved in coaching now, so I wish them the best with that, of course. But they're two that are definitely difficult to replace. It's just you look for maybe 3 or 4 people to step in and take their jobs because they were so good at it.
When you take a look at that, of course, you have some losses, but you also have some addition. When every coach is always recruiting, let's talk a little bit about the newcomers and new faces to the Ladies Tommies this year.
Well, we've got 6 in. We've got 3 up front, 2D, and a new goaltender in. So I guess we'll start in the back end. Kristen Wolf is in goal for us. She's from Berkshire Academy, which is a prep school in New England, and very, very much sought after. We were very lucky to get her when we found out that Mia was not going to be returning this year from Sweden. And she was just ecstatic. She's always wanted to come to St. Thomas. I tried to get her a couple of years ago, but she was going to stay for a grade 13 in prep school. So kind of one of those great stories that just worked out right for everyone. We actually sat at Subway one day when the team had stopped for a meal, and we both just looked at each other and said, "Who would have thought this was going to happen?" And she just busted out laughing. She was very, very excited about being here. Then on the back end, we have Courtney Fox, who has transferred over from University of Maine, which was Division One. So she's obviously very, very strong. We were shortlisted with Courtney when she came out of high school, and so she had a choice between us and University of Maine, and she went to University of Maine. But we always keep in contact with the girls and see if they're enjoying themselves. And she eventually just called and said, I think I want to come back to Canada, and she did. And she's been a real impact for us. She's a great defenseman for sure. And then also on the back end, we have Amanda Burns who's from Kent Hill Prep School. She's actually a Fredericton product from New Maryland. I guess best known as Chris Burns' daughter. Chris played for the men's program for a number of years. And but that being said, Amanda is an excellent defenseman and good agility, good heads-up player. Has a little bit to adjust to with the speed of the game at the AUS level, but definitely somebody who's gonna be strong for us over the next coming years for sure. And then I guess just on to the forwards, we have three new ones in. We have Katie Brewster from Brewster Academy. She's a product of Nova Scotia, played for Team Atlantic last year, and was on Brewster Academy's first line. They're a Division I prep school down in New England. Very strong player. Basically known as a playmaker, I guess, just simply because of her line mates last year. But I'd seen her play at a number of different events, and she's got quite a bit of scoring touch to her, too. So we're very, very happy to have her in. She was much sought after by X and University of Maine both, and we're very happy that she chose us. And then Amy Calbo from Saskatchewan. She played for Weyburn Pinto Wings in the Saskatchewan Midget AAA League. Was their top scorer and MVP. And she's come in, and she's actually playing on the line with Katie and Charity Walls, and they're doing very well together. They were actually probably our highest scoring line in preseason. So we expect a lot of things from her. Amy's a gritty little player, and really goes hard into the corners and battles well, and has a pretty good shot and some pretty good one-on-one as well. So we're looking for big things from her. And lastly, on forward would be Andrea Fisher, who is another Swiss player. We have Lukey, and now we have Andrea. Andrea played for their Swiss under-18 team that went to the first ever World under-18 Championships in Calgary a couple of years ago. So we're looking to groom her, so hopefully she can make her national team like Lukey has. She's played a couple of games for them, but she's never made the Worlds. And until you do that, you're not really considered a national team player. You have to make the Worlds to be considered a national team player. So that's her goal, and ours too is to get her there. But at the same time, she's got a great skill set, great hands, good shot actually for her size, and just has to get a little bit stronger and typical first year things. Just has to get a little bit stronger and used to the speed of the game. But we've seen some good things from her already, so we're very excited about having her here for sure.
All right. Peter Murphy is joining us in the intermission, and he is the head coach of the Women's Tommies hockey program. Peter will be joining us again in the second period intermission as we'll talk to Peter again about the upcoming season, his returning players, and talk about some of the other teams around the league. You're listening to Summit Dodge Tommies Hockey on 95.7 The Wolf.